guys, it's Nikki here. I'm here today to do my final set of reviews for the Lord of the Rings trilogy. I am reviewing The Return of the King by J.R.R. Tolkien today. I really enjoyed this book, and this video specifically will be the spoiler-free review for it. As I said, it's the final book in the Lord of the Rings trilogy. It was a great read. I really enjoyed myself, and it was such a good final installment to the series. It wrapped up the grand adventure. It wrapped up the destruction of the ring and the triumph, albeit begrudging triumph of good over evil, and the beginning of the Age of Man. The characters are all falling into their final roles in this novel, and they're doing a really good job of having the world be established enough that the conclusion will tie the characters and their world together very effectively. And as I said, I really enjoyed this. It was a really good way to end the series. And that's all I have to say in summary of the book. I will move on to my likes and dislikes. I'll do my normal 3 likes, 3 dislikes, starting with the 3 likes. The first of which is basically Sam unto himself. He is an amazing character, and he started to come into his own in the second book, and man, did he fulfill my wildest dreams in this book. Everything that he did for Frodo and everything that he was able to do to help Frodo throughout the series really culminated in this like epic final just chapters for Sam, and it was just amazing. And if anybody liked Sam in the previous 2 books, you will love him in this one. My second like is that they did a really good job allowing for resolution at the end of the book. They left enough time that everything that I felt could be a loose end was really dealt with, and I really appreciated that. And then my third and final like for this is Faramir. Although you were introduced to him a bit in the second book, his character is really fleshed out really well in the third book, and I just fell deeper in love with his character. Like, the things that happen flesh him out and just give you such a good idea of his background that you can't help but feel he develops very quickly and very effectively. And reading about him gave me just this wide range of emotions and I thoroughly enjoyed reading his character. It was a very great experience. And this leads me into my 3 dislikes. My first dislike is that when they were in Mordor, Sam and Frodo, it was just a weird pacing. Like, some of it was actiony, some of it was stumbling luck, and there's just while there's this overlying tone of like, we're going to die. It was very weird, and it took me a little bit to get into, and I'm listing as a dislike because it really turned me off of that part of the book at first with how it was written. My second dislike is Denethor. I can't remember what I was going to say about him, but my script says he is an asshat. And I don't know what else I was going to say, but that sums it up pretty well. And then my third dislike is that it does drag a little bit once the book gets to Minas Tirith, because they're spending so much time on preparing for everything that the scenes all feel very samey, and this is further reinforced because it's from Pippin's point of view at this point, and even though he knows these things are going on, he's not really a part of it, so there's not a lot of break in the monotony of the day-to-day activities for him. And that's all I had for my likes and dislikes. Nothing too major either way. I liked a lot of things, I disliked a few things, but none of the dislikes was enough to really break my enjoyment of the book. And with this, I will move forward with my characters. Alrighty, so some of the character development has dropped off. Some characters are still developing a little bit kind of to fulfill their final roles, but a lot of them have developed personalities, and their actions in this book really reflect those personalities. And because of that, everybody's really just kind of falling into their final roles for the wrap up of the series, which is, I found, really nice. I never felt like I was going to be rushed in kind of figuring out what was going on and how everything was going to fit together. The other thing I liked about the characters is something I've mentioned in every video, and it is just as evident here. The loyalty of the characters is amazing. They are loyal to each other in a way that I haven't seen in a ton of books. It is there in other places, but Tolkien does it so well, and I love how they unabashedly say that they love their friends, and he just has these people who are so vocal about their feelings for their friends, and it was just such a joy to read, especially given the tone in this was so much more immediately darker, and there was just the extra tone of despair because they knew everything was going to be kind of coming to an end in this kind of final series of battles. I also really liked with the characters that you find a few more species, which is really interesting. It's very interesting to see them interact with. It's interesting to see them interact with the Fellowship and how they will help move these people forward, not so much because they have a tie and loyalty, but they have a common dislike of Mordor and Sauron. All of this being said, Sam is still my fave, which will not come as a surprise if anybody has seen any of the previous reviews for this series. He is my favorite little protagonist in this novel, and he has just an amazing story arc, and the things he does for Frodo are just above and beyond. And that's all I really have to say about the characters. I will just move here to do a quick wrap up, and then we're good. So like I said at the beginning, this was a really good final installment. There is everything you want in a fantasy. There's all these different species, there's the final battle, and there's the resolution that you hope would happen. The characters are still very interesting, and they're falling into their final roles, which was really awesome to see from the progression, not just from the beginning of the movie, but from the first book to where they end up. And it was a lot of fun to watch that unravel. I also really enjoyed how, even though there was less of it, the world was still developing. You were still getting little drops and hints of information that helped flesh out the world surrounding the Fellowship and their adventures. And I loved that it was so continuous, and that it went right up to the end of the story. It was amazing. And like I said, I really enjoyed myself. This was a really good book, and I had a blast reading it, which leads me to my rating. So for The Return of the King by J.R.R. Tolkien, I give this a 4.5 out of 5 stars. I loved so many things about this book, and my dislikes were so few and so nitpicky that it didn't break my enjoyment of the novel, and I had such a good overall experience that I really feel it deserves this 4.5 stars. That's all I have to say. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!